Welcome back. Here's where you left off. Spoilers ahead for chapters 11 through 15 of Expeditionary Force Book 19, Ground State by Craig Alanson. So whenever Craig explores the kitties' culture and have us interact with them, I actually really love it in the books. I find that the plot line of this new admiral who is smarter than the average kitty, is that a good way to put it, Leonard? Is really looking at this from the perspective of, is Joe really correct? And so when Joe contacts him and says, hey, don't take my word for it, go do some recon. And it's interesting that we have just the two kitties that seem to be the ones that think outside the box and are not, crazy, let's destroy the rest of the universe kind of kitties that have these discussions. I really enjoyed these chapters for that main reason. How did you feel about that?
Oh, I agree. It's the process. Do not hit yourself. Don't hit yourself. Don't stop hitting yourself type mentality to it. I think the way the approach in trying to get the kitties to see the light of day is amazing, because after it was explained that let's just give the Maxalt the information and let them make their own decision there, makes a lot of sense, because it's kind of hard to convince a fanatic that they're wrong. The only way they can find out if they're wrong is for them to experience it, to see it in front of their face, right? And giving it giving to an admiral that has a tendency to be dumb-witted in front of his colleagues, but he's actually the smartest one there, makes a lot of sense. Right, and now they have this two Maxalt that's very high ranking in the military, plus a ship, and be like, holy crap, we just saw something that's like, are you sure I'm seeing this correctly? Oh my gosh, is our new allies is lying to us, right? And it's a very well crafted storyline, in my opinion, because it makes me as an audience say, you know what? That is correct. That is exactly what I expected. What's going to happen? I expected that this plan's going to work very well, because it's well thought after, right?
I think that I enjoyed the scene where the admiral's like in his shower. Of course, he's in his shower, right? If that's the only place they're going to get to him. But this guy is, I think, if I'm looking ahead in the book, this guy's going to overthrow the diktat and basically be like, take the kitties in some different direction to either help Joe and Skippy or to not work against them anymore. Because it doesn't matter if you're a fanatic or not. If you're going to be exterminated by your ally, you're just dumb, you're just being stupid.
You need to open your eyes to reality,
Yeah. And the other interesting thing is so we sort of had two subplots here. We had Scarandum dropping off the supplies to lure the Bosphorok into an ambush, I think it was, where they lose a bunch of ships. I always love when he's doing sketchy stuff. It's always entertaining. Porkins really is, he has to buy dinner for everybody now, apparently. So that's, how does he have any money? I don't know how he gets paid anymore.
Remember, those beetles have a tendency to bet on things. They can bet which leaf's going to drop first in fall. I'll bet you Kinsa. A little side note, I have this feeling Kinsa is probably the most wealthiest beetle down there. Because he knows every time Chris Random's doing something. I'll bet you he always like, you know what, I'm going to bet that this is going to work, and I think he's smart enough to say, yeah, I'm going to bet against this or with this because I know it's going to work. And everyone always say, okay, bet with a better payout, and he's just going to be in the low end of it, but he's consistent. I'll bet you
Well,
can pay. Yeah, I think that's what he is doing right now. That's just me.
What I love is Scranton is a terrible gambler, but he's a great strategic thinker. And for them, that's both a good thing and a bad thing. It's like you're a bad gambler, and in their society, that's gotta be you're looked at as a sucker kind of thing if you're a bad gambler, right? But he's still really good at what he does. So this side plot where they all get destroyed, these ships and so forth. I actually wondered when I was sort of going through and I was considering what the end result of all of this is going to be. Do you think they're going to link it back into what Joe and Skippy is doing?
I think they are. I think the Scranton's portion of the plan is remember at the beginning they always said, okay, the Maxalt is doing one too many things. One is trying to prevent the Civil War or trying to fight the Civil War, and all their minions are being like, hey, we should separate. We should be independent, but they're trying to quash that. But at the same time, they're committing half their fleet to support the outsider, right? So now they have this two sides of this thing that's going back and forth. So the goal was to have the separatists to succeed, so they can like destroy that part of their alliance. In the same time, you have Joe and his guys to say, hey, the outsiders are bad people, but here's the evidence. We're just giving it to you. You guys do whatever you want to do with it, and they're betting on that the admiral will be like, oh my gosh, this is real. They're going against us. We should stop this right now, right? So his goal is trying to have this separation in the government itself, or the people, the Maxalt. So when push comes to shove, they're weaker now. So when the outsider decide to go crazy on them, at least they can evenly match everything, because they already know that the humans can actually beat the outsiders in a very close race of beating each other up. But with the Maxalt, it's going to be harder for them, because right now they can't rely on the spiders. Right? So
which is kind of weird. You would think that the spiders would be involved here because their asses are on the line as much as the kitties, right? So,
well, in the last book itself, they already said that the spiders are just want to step back and be like looking at our options, because of Skippy already told Joe that we can't rely on the spiders because they take too long to make a decision. The universe is burning down. They're still debating if they're gonna help, stop the burning. Right, so they can't rely on them at all. They can't.
No.
Right.
I wonder. I mean, I foresee in the future a coalition happening. It's sort of like that Babylon 5, where you get all the former warring guys together and they go after the one enemy kind of thing. I kind of see that happening, right? I mean, I think it's a logical progression in the book. You turn the Kitties Alliance against them, and then you make them into individual warring parties that come together to fight the outsider. I suspect that will be it. Or maybe we take the Kitties approach and they split down the middle again with another civil war. Like with the Detente on one side and the general on the other. Who knows? I mean, I'm not sure which direction you would take
that happened already, right? The Civil War
happen again,
happened,
though.
so it was a big mess, right? So for them to say, hey, right now their plans is very simple: split the Maxalt and split the military in half, and so it's easier for them to manage, because right now the humans cannot beat the Maxalt if everyone fights. Like if the Maxalt fleet versus the human fleet, the human fleet is gonna freaking done. If you take away the ancient weapons, all the special weapons, and all that stuff, the Maxalt will just gonna run them down, right? And Joe and Skippy recognize that, so they have to split them in half, right? So it's more manageable, and that makes a lot of sense, right? So it's up to it's this is part of the book that I told you. I think the first episode of this review, that it's a slow burn, right? We're in the beginning of this like crescendo that's going to be like, oh, this is going to be a lot more interesting now, right? It's like you see my hands are like right, so it's we're nitpicking now that because we see what the potential is, right?
I think nitpicking is a good point, because we are doing that a lot more in this review of this book. We are really nitpicking here.
Yeah, and I think that's where we are. But I do want to talk about the mentioning of the Mavericks. You think the Mavericks will show up?
You keep on wanting that to happen. I don't necessarily think it will. If they're doing some operation to do with the Alien Legion, maybe bring Perkins back in. I mean, if this is the last book in the series, if it truly is, I would say the answer is no, other than a reference.
Well, Khan came back.
True.
Yeah.
I would also say that we're at the point now, like, where they're in the process of putting into place their plan. Like, the other thing we didn't talk about was Skippy and the Fabs and blowing them up. Putting the malware in and blowing them up, which, by the way, was a good idea. Actually, I kind of caught onto that pretty quickly when they started to talk about it, because it's exotic matter. Although, oddly enough, I didn't think he would create antimatter. I was like, well, that's just smart. I just didn't think of that way.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too. So it's like when they were trying to make their plan, they said we have to hit like 20-something sites in the same time, right? And they even Skippy already said that some of the people who are building this are like at the bottom part of the coalition, right? And it's easy to get into, but if they started being upgraded to max assault, then it's harder for them, right? And Joe telling the Admiralty is like, yeah, guys, we have 27 sites we have to hit. Hello, have fun. That's when the nervousness kicks in, right? And I have a feeling that when they found out they can just upload a firmware, an update to a virus to destroy it all, and be like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. But the plan actually is very ingenious, right? Because I will never thought about writing it that way, right? Because what they did is like, well, what Greg did is he looked at the perspective of like, okay, I have to put this thing in this computer, but the only problem is I can't put it in there. So how can I put this USB stick into this computer to put the virus in? So I have to create a scenario that a high-ranking person can just walk in without being searched, right? And how the plan was perfect. I was like, this is great. This is exactly amazing, and it was a great plan. Did you like the plan? How they brought in that? I'm calling it the USB stick or the phone with the malware in it.
Yeah. The phone with the malware I kind of liked. Although I tended to think that would be the. I mean, when you're trying to do counterintelligence stuff, people are the thing that you want to hack, right? So Skippy doesn't really hack the phone. I mean, he does, but what I mean is that, the people in charge, those who are like, I'm better than you, those are the people that you use to get whatever malware you want in there. And I mean, even the guy in the fab where just before it blew up, he's like, I'm better than you. And the technician is guy, like Scotty. He's like, I've been here 17 years. I know how the place is, even when it's running. I have to look at a monitor to know that it's not running correctly. And the guy completely dismisses him. I'm like, if you're Scotty, you've been there for 17 years, I'm going to freaking listen to what you have to say. You know what I mean? She's not going to take it, Captain. That's basically what he was saying.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, it's like, I don't know. To be honest, it's a great plan. It's the best way to do it, and I love the idea. I was like, well, they know the difference between a hacked phone versus a non-hacked phone. I'm like, okay, cool. And when I was like, reading this, I was like, how are they gonna convince the person looking at the phone and reviewing the phone, see if it's hacked or not? And that's when I said, how about hack the equipment that they're looking for, the hacked phone? I'm like, oh, damn, that makes a lot more sense, because I thought they're going to try to bribe one of those people to allow them to bring their phone in. That was the first thing in my head, but when Joe said, oh, can we just hack the machine, the scanners that's going to be scanning the phones, I'm like, that makes a lot more sense. It's less problematic that way. And he even says, like, what happened? We can't just give one phone to one person. You have to give everyone new phones. And he's like, okay, fine. Make 100, just put it there, and people just grab it. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense. So it was a good plan. I totally enjoyed that part of this reading assignment. So, yeah. So, what do you think about what's going to happen next?
Like I said, I think we're gonna get the kiddies to start. I mean, the Admiral guy to start to think about how he can help Joe and Skippy, because he's on their side now. He sees that they've been lied to, and I think that's where we're gonna move into. The one thing that I have a big question about is what the heck is Scrandom up to, and how is he gonna come back into it? And as you said, will the Mavericks show up at all? Join us next time as we review chapters 16 through 21 of Expeditionary Force Book 19, Ground State by Craig Alanson. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share a review. We love to hear from you. Send us an email at yourbookmarksinfo@gmail.com. Join us again right here where you left off.